good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to Furious with Fabian Fury, Episode 1. On today's show, we'll have special guest Pinky Santino. For those of you who don't know who Pinky is, he's one half of the Freedom Avengers, and his older, wiser brother, Roland. On this episode, we'll be discussing our favorite wrestler and what got us started in the first place, our feelings on the wrestling world today, and for no reason at all, our favorite comic book character, and whatever else we damn well please. Because again, it's my show, so enjoy. Welcome everyone to the Furious Podcast with your host Fabian Fury, and I got two special guests here and co-hosts with me tonight. To my left, we got
Pinky Santino.
And Pinky, any words for these people? Anything you want to tell them, or where they can find you?
Keep listening. I swear we could do better.
Roland, anything?
No, just average person, average guy, wrestling aficionado.
So this is a show where we talk about wrestling and sports and entertainment or whatever the hell we feel like. So let's talk about what our favorite wrestlers and what got you into the business in the first place. You want to start it off, Roland?
Sure, no problem. I'm not actually in the business, but
you had your hand in the business, not in the ring, but outside it.
That's true, but I'm more of a fan in my lifetime than anything else.
Is the guy that got you into it the guy that made the songs in the back, since you used to play music at shows?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the guy that got me in. The guy that composed the Shawn Michaels theme. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
What was that Austin said? Back when Stone Cold's like, "Damn kid, you must be pretty good to think of da na da na 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 da na da na na na." But hell, I think anyone could think of da na da na na na.
Yeah, I remember that. That's pretty hilarious. Okay. So,
well, for those that don't know, that you had your hand in the back with the music, and you ran the back of Hybrid. Well, you assisted.
So what was the question here, host?
What was your favorite wrestler? What got you into wanting to be in this business in the first place?
I have many favorite wrestlers when I was growing up, but
what was that one moment that made you like, hey, I want to be a wrestler?
The one moment that made me actually love wrestling and want to be associated with wrestling, honestly, I would have to say, was when I saw... I was already into wrestling when I was a kid, sorry, but my favorite moment of all time was the Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Mick Foley. That match was just incredible.
That was what just turned on the switch?
I loved wrestling all my life because my older cousin had gotten me into it since I was little, but I never actually thought of wanting to be a wrestler or being associated with it until that one moment. I saw that basically mayhem on TV, and I loved it. It was cinematic, it was brutal, it was amazing, it was storytelling, it was emotional, it was just pretty much drama in real life. It was just amazing. That's all I can say about that match.
And you, Pink? What do you got to say on this? What brought you into the business? What wanted you to make you want to be where you are right now?
The match that brought me into the business, that made me start watching it, that I could remember. And honestly, I can't say if it was before or after, but the thing I remember as my first wrestling memory was actually watching Undertaker versus Yokozuna at my aunt's house. And
I remember this.
It was that casket match. The casket match that they had, in which all the wrestlers came from the back, threw Undertaker in the coffin, and they're wheeling him to the back. But it wasn't until, they see him wheeling him back, and then they show the video of him on that Titantron above it, and then you just see him float out of the video, yeah. And I was like,
that was amazing.
Holy crap, they are larger than life. This is a little bit bigger than anything that we could do.
Yeah, real life superheroes, that's what it was. Like I said, I loved wrestling when I was little, but that's just amazing. Amazing.
So on that note, how you guys are talking about superheroes and wrestling, that's what made me want to get in it, since I always loved comic books and reading it. Figured, well, how else can I be a superhero when I watch this on TV and they dress up and they wear masks and they look like heroes already? That's what made me want to do it. More so when I started watching like the Lucha Libre you know, how they wear the masks and they look with their capes and everything. And I'm like, dude, I want it. They're freaking superheroes right now. Look, the real life superheroes. I want to be a real life superhero.
Okay.
That's what brought me in.
That actually explains a lot about you. I've known you my whole life, and yeah, that actually explains really a lot about you. So what would you say your biggest influences were then? Which wrestlers and whatnot?
Well, growing up, I always loved like the Hogan and Warrior, but everybody liked watching them. But what made me want to do it more was Rey Mysterio, this guy that was 5'0", wearing a mask and doing these super heroic things that nobody else does. Like he looked like he was literally flying. You know, I'm like, dude, this guy is a superhero.
Rey Mysterio WCW, is that what we were saying here?
I'm saying, yeah, Rey Mysterio AAA, Rey Mysterio WCW.
Wow.
Because I would watch the Mexican wrestling.
What was Rey Mysterio's name before it was Rey Mysterio and AAA?
I don't remember. Wasn't he a freaking bird? What was it?
The Hummingbird.
Yeah, but I don't remember what it was called. I just knew it was bird. I can't remember what it was.
It was a hummingbird, but I
in
don't
Spanish,
know.
I don't remember.
Golondrino or something like that?
I don't know. Calibrino, something. I don't remember. Well,
What a fan! What a fan!
Hey.
ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
you know what? He is a fan because I remember the second WWE live show that I ever went to. I actually ended up sitting next to him because you and I were brothers, and I'm much younger than you. We actually had gotten
I
separated
remember
because
this.
something happened with the tickets where he had to actually go sit really close.
oh
Because
yeah, he got
had
like floor seats.
he had to go ahead and buy a ticket there, where we already had tickets.
Calibri,
And
whatever.
it was right before he actually debuted on television. So I'm sitting there watching. Fabian Fury falls asleep through some of the matches, by the way.
I fell asleep. I remember falling asleep when Undertaker came out.
Which is the
Horrible, by the way.
worst.
Who did he fight? Did he fight Spike Dudley or
It
something?
doesn't
I
matter.
don't know.
It's Undertaker.
I fell asleep.
But to bring it back, Rey Mysterio comes out, and for some reason he knew before anyone else did that he was even going to be on the house show. And I'm sitting there watching the match and listening to him, and he's calling Rey Mysterio's spots right before he does them. He's like, all right, he's going to duck that, bounce off the second rope. There it is, 609. Even before it was called the 609, he was like, oh, he's going to do the thing around the ropes.
That's funny.
So I know he was a major Rey Mysterio fan for sure.
And by the way, the reason we got separated in the first place, just so you know, is because the only thing they had in Ticketmaster was the front row seat. So I had to, be a good big brother and let myself go in the front row when you said.
I know. Instead of letting Pinky go sit in the front, you go sit in the front.
He needed to sit by you guys to be taken care of. I had to sit by myself right next to Dennis Rodman and Big Boy and all these other people that were there.
Wasn't Johnny down there with you?
No, it was you guys were over there.
And you were down there by yourself?
I was the only one by myself. I had Hogan sweating on me because I was Hogan's farewell wrestling tour at WWE. Remember that?
Yeah, but has he gone? He wasn't farewell, but he was there for another like 10 years, wasn't
That
he?
was the last time he was wrestling. Don't you remember? He was like tagging with Edge and all them at that time.
No, didn't he come back as Mr. America or whatever?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That's besides the point.
Yeah, besides the point.
Okay, what about you, Pinky? What was your favorite wrestlers growing up and influences?
My favorite wrestler was Bret the Hitman Hart, but I couldn't really use him as an influence when I started wrestling because I wear different sizes. He was a little bit more smaller, athletic. He could do things that I can't do. And I had to focus more on the bigger guys, such as, not as big as them, but I derive my style a lot from people like Kevin Nash. If I look at old stuff, I look at Jake the Snake Roberts.
Jake the Snake wasn't that big, though.
He's a large man. I've met him in person.
Large man now.
He's
wow.
huge. He never stood out as a big guy in the business. I think it's because he wasn't one of those guys that were built.
Mm.
But he's a large man. That's why he was able to stand in the ring with the Warrior and still be a threat, if you think about it.
And plus, he had the big snake over there, Damien.
Yeah.
So, who was your favorite wrestler growing up then, Roland?
I loved villains all my life. Favorites were Roddy Piper because he's borderline racist and crazy. Just be honest, hitting people in the head with.
I think he is crazy.
Well, keep in mind, Roland's personality goes, if everyone likes one thing, he's going to like the other. Pretty much everyone loved Bugs Bunny. Guess who Roland's favorite character is? Daffy Duck. So, of course, someone like Roddy Piper is going to be Roland's favorite.
I'm kind of anti-establishment. I've always been that way. I've kind of gone against the grain of my whole life. So, of course, Roddy Piper was my favorite. I loved the Ric Flair. Let's see. Ravishing Rick Rude was amazing to me. In ECW, my favorite was someone as ridiculous as the Dudley Boys when they used to talk that way.
That was when they were in their heyday, when they were pretty awesome back then.
Yeah, but
everybody hated them.
And Foley and Cactus Jack and pretty much anti-established, not big buff, nice looking heroic types like Fabian would like, but I like that. Pretty much the guys that didn't hurt them and brought them down. I like the Lex Luthors of the world, just put it that way. The ones that brought down Superman.
You would.
That's true.
So seeing how wrestling was when you were a kid and how great it was then, how do you see it now? Like, do you see it different? Do you see it better? Do you see it worse?
It's really evolved. I mean, it's got a lot of elements from UFC, a lot of different elements. Basically, it's hybrid wrestling. No pun intended there, Johnny Suarez. But
hey, John,
it is really hybrid wrestling now. Basically, a little bit of MMA, incorporating a lot of lucha. Back in the day, basically, whatever we were watching, like even probably about mid-90s down, whatever territory you're watching, like you would watch Lucha Libre, they had their own style. You watch Japan, they had their own style. You watch American wrestling, they had their own style. Nowadays, it's pretty much every wrestler incorporates a little bit of everything in their styles. They don't differentiate anymore, basically. And that really is just because the big companies basically just put their best talent out there, and the best talents are the ones that usually go around the world first. Incorporate all those talents like a Y2J did back in the day, and just learn a little bit of everything, and that's how it's evolved. My personal opinion. What do you think?
And you, Pink, what are your thoughts on wrestling then to what it is now?
It just changed. In all reality, it's completely different, if you ask me, because back then it was a secret. Yes. Everything was real secretive. And
everything was real then.
Everything was real.
They went a lot harder.
These guys had to go out and get into fights to prove how real they were. Nowadays, with all these, like us doing this podcast and movies such as The Wrestler coming out, you can't really say that things are going to be exactly 100% real. But because of that, people are able to do some amazing stuff nowadays, because take two guys like, let's say, the Young Bucks. Mm-hmm. They're able to do some amazing stuff, which in reality, who's ever going to think that that's real, that's really going to happen in a fight?
That's true.
It doesn't matter anymore, because everyone's now just there to enjoy the show, and they're trying to incorporate more and more little bits of realism. But it's more out there now. But
the more moves they try to get in reality, like the knees and the go to sleeps and things that look like they really hurt, people aren't selling them anyway. It moves way too fast. And honestly, I'm not trying to sound all old and conjury like JR or those type of people, but it's the truth. No one really sells these days.
Well, now those moves, like those knees to the faces and go to sleep, a lot of these indie guys are using it as one of their opening moves.
Exactly my point. But you do that, you gotta sell a little bit. You gotta be like holding your face or something, right? These guys go move to move to move. 1,000 moves in 5 minutes?
Well, it's all about establishing moves nowadays. In all reality, I think Paul Heyman recently said that if you have someone go out there and put on a headlock and have someone tap out instantly, headlock, go out there month after month putting on that headlock, after a while someone gets out of a headlock, it's a big deal. So it's all about establishing these moves and protecting the moves, because if you're constantly letting people kick out of each move, that's when they become not as special.
Well, yeah, that's just to my point. What I'm telling you, no one's selling anything, so it's supposed to be special.
Well, that's why in all reality, wrestlers have to start protecting their moves. As in, if they
start
try
protecting the business,
if they try to call a move and they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna kick out of that. Call something else. Do something else, because no one's kicking out of that move because it has to be protected and built.
Okay, you're a student of Rico, right? Correct.
Amongst the other trainers at Santino Brothers,
okay.
Yes.
And Rico's a student of D. And I remember when Rico told me, right, the main thing Dio would always say, sell the move no matter what the move is, right? So whenever Rico even just took a back body drop, he puts his back on and he acts like his back's hurting. Now, how many people in the business do that really right at this point in their career? Let's be honest.
Not as many as they should.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of people out there that are just worried about taking the move and getting to the next spot.
So it looks choreographed more than it actually looks like it's hurting.
I think a lot of them are just trying to get their stuff in. Is what you're trying to say, right?
It's a lot of people just, boom, take this. Okay, hurry. We have to get to the next thing before we run out of time. Boom, we're going to hit this other big move. Let's get up. Come on, hurry.
So they'd rather fit in 50 moves that doesn't look like they hurt, opposed to like you just hitting 5 big moves that look like they're devastating, correct?
Yeah.
And I don't think that doesn't really help anybody, because if anything, 5 big moves that hurt.
But there's always going to be different opinions. You saying that can contradict someone else saying, well, if someone's just going to hold a headlock, it's boring. So a lot of the times these guys realize this, what you're saying, but the way that they're going to get booked is by doing all these outrageous stuff, because a lot of promoters like that now.
I'm aware of that, but I guess, I mean, a lot of the fans do like that.
A lot of
spot monkey stuff.
It's a draw to see that. It's not always a draw to see the slow-paced,
realistic, methodical stuff. Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, I guess some people would like to see spots over story, which is not me. I understand that. But, I mean, like I said, I grew up in a different era, too, so.
It's all, I think the main goal is always to perfectly integrate the two. Mm-hmm. If you're able to add those spots to a really good story, it shouldn't matter.
Actually, that makes sense.
It shouldn't. Everyone should enjoy it.
Okay. What about you? What about you, Pinky? What do you think is your favorite wrestling show right now? Indie and mainstream.
I actually wish I would go to more indie shows, but I don't, so I wouldn't really be able to say as much. There's a few that I go to, but mainstream, it's still Raw. I think it's too long for me personally.
Well, the intro's long.
Well,
you would say the intro is long.
They use the intro to go ahead and set up for the whole show.
Yeah, but I was figuring cut that shorter.
The whole thing is too long. 3 hours might be a little bit too much, and you feel that it might be a little bit hard for them to write for that amount of time.
True.
But it's still the top right now, so you got to give it to them. It's still Raw for me.
All right, Fabian.
Well, I still like watching Raw. I don't watch SmackDown or anything else. But then,
who does watch SmackDown? By the way.
Also, there's not a lot like mainstream wise. There isn't really much out there anymore. Or just until recently, like TNA and ROH coming out together on one network.
We don't have Destination America.
So we don't get to watch those.
Hey,
sorry.
Well, I don't think we have it either. Well, what we switched to now, but it's like really that's the thing. But like Raw's still good, but there's no competition really for it anymore. So they could do whatever they want, and they're still going to be the top show.
There is competition, and I'm going to go against the grain here, like I always do. According to Pinky, my favorite show is NXT.
Well, but that's WWE
Still, yeah, I understand that, but they created their own competition in some weird way that they weren't. I bet you they weren't even trying to, but they created their own competition. And number 2, my other favorite show is actually Lucha Underground. And it's the most ridiculous thing you'll see on TV. It is basically Mortal Kombat and wrestling mixed together, honestly. The storylines are way out there. There's a dude that turns into a dragon. There's a beast that kills people.
What's Muerte Cibernetica's gimmick over there?
Isn't he the man of mil muertes or something?
Mil muertes. What was this backstory that he died in the big earthquake in Mexico City?
Yeah, and then he got everyone's souls and he died 1,000,000 times. Stuff like that. But you know what? As ridiculous as all that sounds, it's amazing when you watch it because the way they put it out there, it's cinematic. The cutscenes are amazing.
It's different.
It's amazing. The wrestling is awesome. I honestly say that if they could get another season out of that show, it would honestly be mainstream.
What's also hurting it is the network that it's on, because not everybody gets it. When we had what major dish thing we didn't have it. We did not get those channels to watch Lucha.
You actually could actually see it on the Spanish channel. The Spanish channel carries it in the most.
What I heard now, when it first came out.
No, originally it was doing that. Just not a lot of people knew it, or they don't speak Spanish, so they're not going to look for it there.
Yeah, but even then, El Rey has expanded a little bit. And the only reason that they might not get a second season, so I hear, is because the cost of that show, because it is a lot of cinematic stuff, and it is a lot of that it's expensive to do, and that's the only biggest reason.
They're going over budget.
Show. Yeah, basically.
Well, yeah, if you watch that show in all reality, I like that show also, actually. It doesn't look like a wrestling show. It's completely done differently.
Exactly.
It looks as if you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
With
Robert Rodriguez is the one
in it. So,
but I mean, yeah, the best way I could describe that was Mortal Kombat in wrestling. That's really what it is. I love that show actually. That one, and I like New Japan. New Japan is old school, hit 'em hard, no filler, just watching wrestling. Not too much storyline BS, and what do you don't like New Japan or?
I'm a fan of the Japanese style. I really do enjoy it. I do understand that it's not for everyone, because once again they practice more of realism wrestling, so they will hold those holds for a little longer because everything's real over there. They'll actually put an arm wringer on, get them down, throw that Fujiwara on there, and just lay there and sell it, because it's really entertaining over there because the culture is different. The wrestling culture is different. You watch them; they'll dump each other on their head, and they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah." They put on that really good headlock, and the really headlock. They transition into those head scissors and really sink it in. Those fans lose their minds because they believe in that wrestling.
That's awesome.
They still believe that it's real sometimes over there, and they get
but
a lot of these guys that are out there get respected like actual athletes, as to oppose here where you're just entertainers.
See, but that's the thing. Over there, it's respected. It's seen as a real sport. They do the little headlock slow matches, but at the same time, they have the spot monkeys in the beginning, the junior heavyweight division. They do all that, so they're basically seeing both worlds over there, and they respect both versions of it. I like the way they respect the wrestling over there. That's really my thing. American fans aren't that respectful towards the wrestlers, honestly. They kind of treat them like dirt. Let's be honest. American fans are like terrible. Well, American fans are basically trolls in reality.
It all goes back to what Bret Hart said back when he returned from his hiatus after he wrestled the Iron Man match. It's when he came back, the wrestling fans weren't cheering for them because American fans want to be part of the show, and they want to be the badasses because that's what they see in their movies, and that's what they want to be portrayed in, where Americans were the badasses. Whereas in Japan, it's all very respectful, and they know that they're there to watch a show put on for them by these guys that really care and love the business.
True. It's like that whole "let's go Cena sucks" type of deal. I mean, let's be honest with you. Cena doesn't suck. And I know that's unpopular. It's Cena's the worst thing to happen to wrestling since blah, 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 blah. I actually think Cena's good.
He's good for the business.
Yeah.
He's great for the business.
And ever since he's won the U.S. title, let's be honest, he's been amazing. He's been putting on good match after good match after good match.
He dropped himself on the roster to be in the middle, but he's still doing something, like willing to give his spot up.
That's my point.
To get people.
People were complaining that he was too much in the title picture. People were complaining he only had 5 moves. People were complaining that he was the same story over and over again. Now, what did he do? He moved himself to mid-card. He got more than 5 moves. He puts on good matches with all these young guys and practically puts them over. And people still complain about him. American fans are ridiculous.
I think at this point it's just jealousy.
Okay, well, yeah, even then, that's ridiculous. It's why? Why hate the guy?
I think it's just jealousy in the point that the women and children love this guy, and it's like, well, damn, like, what does he got that I don't? Well, look at him. Look at you. Of course, yes, he sucks. That's how I see it for most of the fans.
Well, your opinion on John Cena?
My opinion on John Cena is he's the new Hulk Hogan. A lot of people aren't gonna like him because maybe he's doing the same thing over and over, but you need a company that you're gonna be, directed to a bunch of kids and stuff that want to buy his merchandise that are looking for a hero to look up to.
There you go. I mean, come on. How are people going to boo the guy who points out a little cancer girl and says, keep fighting? Come on. How do you boo that? That's ridiculous.
It's all a fact of...
I know the fans are trying to be cool.
It's an industry of cool. So
Oh
it's
my
cool
God.
to like Dean Ambrose because...
Don't get me wrong. I love Dean Ambrose.
I enjoy Dean Ambrose and everything. And if I see them two wrestle, I might root for Dean Ambrose. But because I'm older. But they could always have a bunch of different guys, but they need Cena right now because he carries the company for those children that are coming in.
Agreed.
And honestly, you don't want your kids looking up to some guy like Dean Ambrose. You
Or
want
Bray
them,
Wyatt, yeah.
You want them aspiring to be a guy like John Cena.
Oh, and then my other favorite thing is, when is Cena going to turn heel? When is Cena going to turn heel?
If I was making that John Cena money, I would never turn heel.
No kidding.
Well, yeah. Well, if he turns heel, then he's gonna lose the kid market.
You want to know when the only way John Cena's ever going to turn heel would be the same way that when only Hulk Hogan turned heel. When did Hulk Hogan turn heel, Fabian?
When he was already dead.
Basically, when his career was stale and no one cared about
His
him.
career was dead
And
already.
he wasn't making that money in WCW. So what did he do? He reinvented himself, went to NWO, went heel, right?
And got another 10 years out of it, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
longer.
That's the only, by the way, fans, that's the only way you'll ever see John Cena turn heel. When you stop cheering for him or booing him.
And Fabian, talking about all this wrestling stuff, I know you said you got a lot of it because of like comic books and superheroes. Who do you derive a lot of your stuff from? Who are your favorite superheroes?
My favorite.
Like I don't mean to get nerdy over here. Yeah, I don't mean to get nerdy.
Let's get nerdy.
We're talking about wrestling. Yeah, we're not nerds, but
yeah, we're basically super nerds here. So let's go. Let's go with it.
So, favorite comic book heroes, and as to favorite comic books that I read right now, the favorite comics that I read right now
By
are
the way,
not even.
you're gonna hear obscure ones because he loves obscure people.
Well, what I'm reading right now is not part of the big two, which is Marvel and DC. I'm reading all the other.
Here we go.
But my favorite character growing up has always been the Green Lantern. I mean, it's obvious. Was like the.
No, it's not. The tattoo wouldn't give me. I thought that was a tattoo for Sugar Shane Helms.
Yeah, you and everybody else thought I was a big Sugar Shane mark, and I got the tattooed on me. But no, I grew up loving the Lantern because anybody could practically be the Lantern. It's not something that you grew up with the power.
That's not necessarily a good thing, by the way.
I was just saying, like, if you showed that you had this strong willpower and you were fearless, that you could get this ring. So I'm like, this is freaking awesome,
Can
not
I
like
ask you-
Superman.
Can I ask a question about that though?
So Bruce Jenner could be a Green Lantern, basically.
Well, it's kind of going into what I'm thinking. Does it bother you that after the Green Lantern of old was established, does it bother you that they ended up changing him to make him gay?
Well, it bothered me for a while because when they said they're gonna make a gay character, they could. Wait, but I'm saying like that. I like that Green Lantern.
Alan Scott.
Yeah, the society Green Lantern.
The magic Green Lantern.
Yes, with the one that had the vulnerable that was vulnerable to wood. I mean, I liked it because it was old school.
That's my point.
But
That's
then
horrible.
But then to make
Let's throw a pencil at Green Lantern. He's dead.
But to he's not.
Especially because it's yellow too.
It's a yellow
piece of wood.
Hey, the yellow came for Hal Jordan. It wasn't for him.
Either way,
He was wood.
a pencil could take out both Green Lanterns. That's what you're telling me.
No, but
A yellow number 2 pencil.
Does it
Yes.
bother you when they switch an established superhero?
It did bother me because I mean Green Lantern. You could have just created a new Green Lantern and say he's gay. We passed the ring to this guy and he's gay. That would have been fine. I wouldn't care. But to make somebody that was already established and had kids, like, oh, whatever, like that bothered me for a while. It took a while to get used to, but then they were like, oh, no, that's from a different Earth. That's like Earth, whatever. This Green Lantern's gay.
But that's DC's
So that's
MO.
what bothers me, that there's so many, like, universes, and then they try to put it together, and then they split it up. It's like, make up your damn mind.
So you hate DC's whole MO because that's pretty much what they always do. Multiple Earths.
Yeah, they try to bring it together as one, and then they split it up again. That bothers me, because it's like, just stick to one and just stay there.
Wow. Anyways, before we got to obscurity gay characters, Pinky, what are your favorite comic book characters?
I'm dealing with another one that's just got changed myself in Thor. That now he's
a Disney princess.
Now he's a Disney princess. Which
you know who he is? Oh, she is, right?
Yeah, I
Jane
know
Foster.
It's Jane Foster, but I'm hoping that I'm fine with Jane Foster having power and stuff. But why did they have to take it like?
But you know why they did it, right?
I just wish they wouldn't.
Explain why, so the people that are listening that don't know.
Because back in the day when Thor was originally shown, he was a man with disability. He was Donald Blake, and he would transform into this Norse god and be amazing. And,
yeah, because back when they did it, it was you had to be worthy.
Yeah.
To get the hammer.
But Donald Blake was basically a man with disability who would turn into this god. Now, forward to this year, Jane Foster had cancer and she was basically dying. So they said, let's do the thing we did back in the day and give her powers. So let's give her Thor's powers. Because that makes the most sense.
But what makes that different from what Fabian was talking about earlier? Why couldn't they just make her a different superhero?
Because it doesn't make no sense.
But like what they did is they made that whole thing where back in the day where somebody would pick up.
No, wait. Let me ask Mr. Thor over here. What does it say on his hammer?
So, but why wouldn't Thor be worthy anymore?
No one's saying he's not worthy.
But then how did he lose his hammer to get it to this girl?
He gave it to her. He didn't really lose it.
But it's like if he's what they did was they did this thing back in the day where somebody could get the hammer and you could be Thor if you were worthy. And then they changed it where they brought Thor now. Now it's nobody. It's actually Thor himself. So then why go back to that crap now? Because did he just get tired of being Thor? It's like, here you go.
The comic books has the worst continuity. You should know this. They go and say one thing and then do another. The only thing that's ever lasted in comic books that didn't even last that long, it was freaking Uncle Ben dying. And he came back too. So don't even give me that bull crap.
Hey, well, Marvel's good at keeping their characters dead for the most part.
Name one.
No, DC is the one that kills them, and like next freaking issue, he's alive again.
The only one that stood dead for the longest time was Uncle Ben, and other than that, everyone else pretty much comes back.
But when they die, they don't come back, right? They're pretty good at
I'm sorry. Captain America was dead for what, 2 months?
No, he was longer than that. He was longer than that.
Hey.
But
Bucky wasn't putting asses in seats.
So they had to bring it. But I'm just saying, like Marvel's good at that. When DC is like, hey, let's kill the Green Lantern. Hey, you know what? Let's bring him back in the next issue. Bucky's
the right back of Marvel.
You know,
let's try this guy. Nah, I don't think so. We'll give it back to Cena.
Yeah, that's what happened there.
All right. Well, So that's comic book. What about movies? What's your favorite movie?
Movie out now?
What was your favorite comic book movie? Period. That's my question to you.
I guess the Wolverine ones, the origins, those were pretty good.
You would like those crappy movies.
Hey, what?
You're like the only one, dude. You would. Just because you love Wolverine doesn't mean you have to love those movies. You know that, right?
They were something different. I'm like, hey, it's kind of cool how they made Sabretooth his brother there when they're not related at all.
Number one, they were related.
No, they're not.
You did not read the Logan books, the origin books?
The original story of that, Sabretooth and Wolverine were not related, and they established it in the 90s. That first they were saying maybe it's his dad, maybe it's his brother, and then they did the DNA.
Did you not read the origin books?
The recent ones.
2000s, yes.
The recent ones.
Yes. The only origin books of Wolverine that ever existed.
Yeah, but when they rewrote it. But in the past, when they didn't have an origin and they were writing it, it turns out that they're not related.
Okay. Anyways.
But those origin books came out after the movie.
That's not the only thing that's wrong with those movies. Do I really need to say it? Deadpool couldn't talk.
Deadpool, that was crap.
He's the merc with the mouth. Let's make him so he can talk. That's the smartest thing we can do.
He talked
for like 5 seconds.
Well, he talked in the beginning, and he was living up to his character until they stitched his mouth shut.
Another thing, Gambit, horrible in that movie.
Yeah, but I'm just
the continuity for the whole Gambit thing. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either because he was supposed to show up later and he's there.
Yeah. I'm thinking he would have been way older.
That first one was terrible. The second one was good up until the ending.
Well, the thing that killed the second one, it became like PG-13.
No, the second one. The thing that killed the second one is it became Transformers all of a sudden with the samurai.
Well, but the same thing I'm saying is like you never see him actually stab anybody. You know, like they had to get rid of that.
That's your biggest problem with that movie?
No, I'm just saying they had to change it. They had to change the whole format because now it's not them running it. It's
Okay.
like Disney running it.
Before
That's not Disney.
But I'm saying they had to change it for
was
that.
Fox.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Let's move on to Pinky because that was a ridiculous answer. Wolverine movies being good.
Hey, well, they were better than.
You are
than-
something else.
Hey, the X-Men movies sucked.
It's like, oh, here we go. What's my favorite movie? Batman and Robin.
Wow.
They had nipples and everything.
What was your favorite movie? Fantastic Four. That was amazing.
Hey, those suck too.
As much as I like the Thor character, I wasn't actually crazy about his movie. I thought it just kind of drug on, but I think
Like the comic. Anyways,
it
yeah,
was.
what?
I like the Avenger movie, which is a very easy answer.
Wah, wah, wah.
But what it all is it's everything building to one point, and a lot of times when that happens, they don't deliver. And I felt that movie delivered when everyone was expecting so.
The first one or
highly
the
of it.
second one?
Both of them.
I felt the second one was a little lackluster, but it was fine.
The second one seemed to be more about humor and action, opposed to being story driven.
No, I think my problem with it was the fact that the first one, it felt like all these characters coming together for one movie. The second one felt like a bunch of little stories all going on at once. Like it didn't feel like a whole complete movie. That's my thing. I'm just saying.
But it didn't bother you that Pym had nothing to do with making Ultron?
No.
It bothers me that Pym isn't Ant-Man in the upcoming movie.
Well,
He is.
no, it isn't. Somebody
he's
else.
not.
He
It's
wasn't.
not Pym.
No, they're doing it that Pym used to be Ant-Man back in the day, and he's passing down his technology to Scott Lang.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's why make an
And
Ant-Man movie?
here's a spoiler. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I saw online that there was this Lego playset that said the final battle scene and had Hank Pym in his suit. So I'm pretty sure in the final battle he puts on this suit.
But it's not going to continue with Michael Douglas obviously being Ant-Man.
How do you know?
But I don't know. Roland, quickly, what's your favorite movie where we got to get ready to wrap it up?
2 favorite movies. One, Batman, the original Batman. I love the Christopher Nolan movies. Don't get me wrong, I do, but I love the original Batman with Tim Burton directing, with the original Joker.
So Michael Keaton was your favorite Batman?
I would say yes. That's probably why. That and the Prince soundtrack was amazing. It was. Nobody hating on Prince. And secondly, my other favorite one would be the Winter Soldier movie, which was freaking awesome. I love that one. It was just a spy thriller, but they just had Captain America in it. But it was awesome. I mean, though they even made Falcon look cool, and that's pretty damn hard to do.
No, as far as, making characters look cool, I hope we could talk about this in the future. Let's not get into it now. But the Daredevil series.
Oh, Daredevil.
It's amazing.
I thought you were going to do your gripe about how you hate Scarlet Witch because she doesn't... I mean, not Scarlet Witch.
Black Widow.
Black Widow.
Can't stand Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. But that's
Only man in the world who hates Scarlett Johansson.
But that's a story for another day. Hopefully we could talk about Daredevil, and hopefully we can talk more wrestling.
That is a good series. The Daredevil. I mean, it
was great.
It saved from the crappy movie, but yeah, we'll save that for another day.
What, you didn't like Ben Affleck Daredevil?
No, and I don't think I'm gonna like Ben Affleck Batman either.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
I liked the Daredevil movie.
Batfleck is going to be amazing. Mark
Well,
my words.
Let's hope so.
Batfleck is going to be awesome.
Batfleck. Well, anyway, anything else you want to plug in before we get out of here?
Oh no, just go ahead and check me out on Facebook. Look for Pinky Santino, and go ahead and check out SantinoBrothers.net. I am definitely on there.
Roland, anything you want to plug before we go?
Hashtag Batfleck. Boom! Drops the mic.
Well, that's our show. Thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe to the blog and find us on Twitter. And Twitter is Furious with FF. And if you're going to do it furiously. And if not, go fade yourself.